All right, so this is file 222590 SC, Eric Emery versus William Emery. I'm assuming you are related.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
What's the relationship?
He's my brother.
Brothers. All right. So the way this works, small claim, is us here without attorneys trying to resolve this without anybody having to use attorneys. We also mean it that nobody is asking for a jury trial in front of district court judges, but to resolve it here as small claims in front of me. You also cannot ask for more than $6,500, although we seem to be below that dollar amount. And so if all parties are ready and able to proceed at this time, then the first thing I'm going to do is swear you in. So everybody who might be testifying, if you want to go ahead and raise your right hand. Swear or affirm that all the testimony that you would give here today would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I swear.
I swear.
All right. So I might hop around a little bit because I have some information, but not a lot of information. Seems to me that, Eric, it seems to be this number comes from two places. One is the $900 labor you are asking for work already performed. And it's my understanding that you may have been paid $600. So in other words, the total was supposed to be $1,500 and $900 is outstanding, and that's where that comes from, right?
That's correct.
And the other part of it is for a chainsaw to be replaced.
That's correct.
$419. All right. So we'll start with the chainsaw first. The chainsaw is broken or missing or what? Why does it need to be replaced?
It is so the body on it, they push the mounts for the handles are broke. It's wore. It's been pretty much just kind of abused and neglected. It wasn't really up for him to be using. It was gifted to me less than 3 years old, and it's kind of like my father's 12-year-old chainsaw sitting there. He turns to mine all the time. I store it at my mom's house. We use it for
all
most.
Right. Gifted to you by whom?
It was gifted by my mother.
Okay. Is your mother's name Deborah?
That's correct.
Okay, so Deborah wrote a letter saying she bought the chainsaw for you and for William to use. So it is not your chainsaw to be asking for money back. Your mom could ask for money if somebody did something wrong to the chainsaw, but you can't.
That's news to me. She told me she gifted it to me.
All right, well, I, Deborah Emery, are the owner and purchaser of the John Deere and Stills chainsaw. My son Eric was speaking and dealing for me. So she would have to be the plaintiff if what she's doing is saying that someone broke her chainsaw and needs to be repaid. You wouldn't get repaid for that. Who was it that used the chainsaw?
William.
Okay, so you've never used this chainsaw even though it's yours?
I have used it, yes. Very minimal. I was 3 years old. I used it the first year for a little bit, and I haven't been able to use it the past 2 years.
All right, and William, you used the chainsaw?
Yes, sir, I have.
What for?
Cutting wood for my mom and dad to keep them warm.
Okay, kind of like what your mom said it's supposed to be for.
Correct.
Does your mom want you to pay her back for the chainsaw?
No. And
All
I
right.
only used it minimal.
All right, so it is the poor conditions it's in because of how it was stored or how it was used? How did it get messed up?
I was told that I misused it.
All right.
I cut wood past 2 years and never had an issue.
All right, and what you used it for was to cut wood that your parents were going to use to heat the house?
Correct.
All right, so we can take that chainsaw sort of right off the table. If under William's care, the chainsaw got messed up, then he may actually owe somebody to replace that, but he wouldn't owe you, Eric, he would owe Deborah. So she'd have to be the plaintiff on that. Do you understand that?
I do. As I stated, my mother told me that gift was for me even recently before this. So that letter in front of you is news to me. So that's why.
Well, what were you supposed to use the chainsaw for?
For myself and for hauling wood and for whatever you want to cut with it. It's a chainsaw.
Okay, but as part of what you were supposed to be using it for, cutting wood for your parents?
If I choose to do so, it was a backup chainsaw. My father had his there. That's what we used to cut wood. I said to her, it'd be great if I had a second as a backup. If I pinch a blade or whatever, it'd be nice to have a backup. I had Craftsman at home. It wasn't satisfactory. It didn't work. It was always broke down. She says, I'll buy you this chainsaw. She bought me the chainsaw. So if now wanting to do that,
Who lives with the parents? Either of you?
neither one of us.
No, who lives with the parents? Either one of you?
No, neither one.
Neither one of you live with the parents. All right.
Correct.
So the other thing is, when you say this work that was done, are you a contractor or you just meant you did work?
I'm skilled at doing many things, and I was going to help my brother get work done with his home.
All right. And so what is it that you actually did as far as the work is concerned on your brother's home?
I'm not sure what all do you want to start with. I kind of got a whole page here I'd like to kind of go over, but if you just want me to kind of pick through, we can do that.
Well, did you ever send him like an itemized invoice or anything like that? Did you guys have a contract?
Nothing in writing. We walked through the whole thing and talked about everything for hours. It was well in depth discussed as to what needed to be
Okay,
happening.
is he supposed to pay you an hourly, or did you give him a number for all the work that you guys talked about?
I told him what the job would be consisted of if he hired a contractor to do the job. I told him how the insurance would pay if he, reported to the insurance what he needed to report. I told him what would be covered, like for flooring costs, all the costs that would be involved and what the insurance would pay for their costs versus the materials that he was wanting to put into his home. I went through the whole thing, start to finish, and how it would all go. And then, I'm sorry, what was your question? I got lost there.
I'm just wondering how we got at the number 1,500. Was it supposed to be, this is my hourly rate and this is how many hours I did work, or 1,500 and I'll do all this work? Or how did you get to that number?
The initial amount of work I was supposed to do was some light demolition work, pull stuff out, get the carpet pulled up, pull cabinets out, that type of thing. The value of my labor there was supposed to cover their $1,000 deductible, $200 to $300 for materials to start drywall.
Wait. What do you mean a deductible?
He pays the deductible. He has $1,000 deductible for his insurance claim. So I was going to work my labor. I was going to give him my labor enough to cover the deductible, and my labor enough to cover $200 to $300 of materials to start drywalling that kitchen and get his kitchen done. The rest.
All right. Let's stop. Because if he's making an insurance claim, he can't use his brother. So what went wrong that something has to be done to the house?
He had dishwasher damage, water leak, and it damaged his floor.
So you had water damage to the house. And then, Mr. Williams, did you actually make a homeowner's claim?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. So you have $1,000 deductible. How much did the homeowner's claim tell you they were going to pay out?
They didn't. The contractor that we started out with sent the itemized list of what needed to be done.
Yeah, essentially what happens is usually when you have like a tree fall on your house or, the water damage or something, the insurance says, all right, this is covered by homeowners. We're going to send a contractor out, an actual licensed and insured contractor. You can't just hire your brother to fix it. Insurance won't pay that.
We
right?
didn't.
We have a contractor.
So a licensed and insured contractor will come out and say, oh, here's how much this is going to cost to fix. Here's how much the insurance will pay, and here's what you'd have to pay me after insurance. You did all that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Do you know how much it was going to cost to get all your stuff fixed?
Let me look for my paperwork a minute, sir.
Or who did you hire?
Grand Rapids Builders.
Allstate. All right. So your insurance, it looks like, paid out $3,026.32. I see that.
Yes.
And then there was another check also.
And Grand Rapids was gonna charge you $5,778.50. Did you say you got a second insurance check?
Yes, it should be right there, sir, with the other copy.
Oh, yeah, so $3,730.96.
Yes, sir.
So let's see here, 730.96. So altogether, insurance agreed that it was gonna pay you out about $6,757.28.
Correct.
Correct.
And you had a contractor that was gonna come and do all these things and charge you $5,778.50.
Correct.
Correct.
All right, so you're gonna have about $1,000 difference between what you got paid and what you had to pay out.
Right.
All right. And so as part of that, your brother-in-law, or I'm sorry, your brother said, well, I can do some of this work and then you won't have to pay a contractor to do it.
Correct.
And he's gonna be cheaper than a contractor, I'm assuming.
We didn't know how much anything was going to cost or nothing.
But I mean,
Uh,
did you have an agreement with him that he was gonna do some of this work and get paid?
No.
Why
I
did
thought he
you
was,
pay him?
I thought he was helping.
We
So
thought
I-
he was
Why did you
going
pay
to
him 600
volunteer.
bucks?
What's that?
I'm
Why
sorry,
did you
sir.
pay him 600 bucks?
Because of the work he did. We figured we owed him something and as family, just to help out.
All right, so here's what I'm a little confused about, right? Eric is saying, here's all the work I have to do. Here's what that would cost you if you went through a contractor, but I can do it all. Here's what I think that is worth. And Eric is saying that number is 1,500, right, Eric?
That's correct.
And you're saying you conveyed that to them.
I did. Yeah, I have a few things. I mean, I have things I'd like to add.
Well, hold on, because I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Certainly.
And then as far as William is concerned, you're like, well, I can get some of this work done by my brother. I'm going to get a better price than a contractor. I see all the work my brother did. It feels to me like I should pay him something for that. So I cut him a check for 600. How did you come up with that number?
I don't know. That's just the number that we picked out.
All right.
We thought
Had you heard
500.
the number 1,500 before?
No,
No,
All right, here's what I don't get from you, William, is it seems to be in the paperwork that you sent to court that you're arguing that there's plenty of times your brother, because he's handy, has just sort of helped you out with projects around the house, and you didn't necessarily pay him before, so you kind of thought this was another one of those scenarios, right?
yeah,
But something was different because this time you said, oh, you know what, he's doing a lot of work, we should pay him something, let's cut him a check for 600. So I don't understand is if you think he's doing it for free because he's your brother, why are you paying him 600?
because we
The-
had the contractors to do the work. And the work that we needed done on the floor, there was more damage than any three of us could do. So we went back with a contractor to finish the work. And that's when Eric had emailed or texted us, okay, well, if you're going that way, then here's my bill for my work. Well, we've never heard anything about charging him anything for his labor.
All right, here's what I don't get. All right, I get what Eric's saying. What Eric's saying is, look, it's not like you have to pay this out of pocket. You're getting paid by insurance. So if I'm the one that's actually doing the sweat, I should get a little taste of that insurance money. That makes sense to me, right, Eric? That's kind of the logic there.
That's correct.
And what you're saying is, oh, well, this is the first time we're hearing that he wanted any money. But somewhere in between those two times, you said to yourself, let's cut him a check for $600 because that's fair. He's doing all this work. That's what I don't understand, the disconnect. Those are two different mindsets. You're telling me one, but it looks more like the other one because you did think he should get paid some money.
once he finished what he was doing, we've been without a working kitchen since August 3. So we were fighting at the bit to get back. So I called the contractor, that way they could come over with a crew of guys and take care of it. And then after that is when we received a bill from my brother for originally $2,700.
All right.
And
So
then
you must
after,
have done some negotiation with your brother. You said, "Hell no, I'm not paying $2,700. What happened?"
I wasn't gonna pay it, so we just said, well, we'll just give them 600.
All right. So you gave him 600, and then you heard back from him that he still wanted more. And when's the first time you heard 1,500?
Today,
When we got our paperwork served to
All right.
us.
So Eric, did this
Yes.
start out higher than 1,500? Did it start at 2,700?
No, sir. I showed them what a contractor would have billed them for what those were contractor prices that I sent them. Those I said that to them. This is what a contractor would have charged you to do what I was doing. I would need to state, first of all, everything I did wasn't part of the insurance claim. What was part of the insurance claim, there was parts of that. There was other work that I did beyond that of what was the actual insurance claim. I also wanted to state, if possible, that I've done work with insurance companies before, like in my own home where they've had to have work done. And I was able to do some of the project myself. The insurance company had no problem at all about me doing the work myself and paying me what they would pay. There was a negotiated price for having a non-contractor doing the work, but it was still higher than what I was doing for my brother as well.
All right, let me ask you, here's my question. Have you ever been paid by your brother for work you did in his house before? Or did you do work for him because he's your brother and you helped him out?
I've always helped him out because there's never been any money involved. In this situation here, there was money that was going to be involved. I displayed to him how it was work.
So here's what I want to get clear from you, Eric, and I understand it. I just want to make clear.
Okay.
That you have done work before for your brother because you're handy and maybe he's not, where you didn't expect to get paid. You did the work because he's family and that's what you do.
That's correct.
But this scenario, you knew that there would be money coming in from insurance. And so, yes, you'll help him and do the work cheaper than a contractor would, but not necessarily for free. If it's the insurance company's money, you want your fair share of that.
I was trying to get him more value for his dollar to get the whole room finished, and plus the additional to it for the value of his money. I was trying to stretch his dollars.
So what you're telling me is, in your opinion, you did $2,700 worth of work if you were a contractor not related to him that he would have had to pay. And what you're asking for as fair is $1,500.
That is correct.
And you got 600 already, so you're looking for 900 more.
That was all explained to them on that dollar amount for what they initially asked me to do. More than they initially do, because they had a contractor. They're not telling you everything. They had a contractor in doing demolition work. They paid $2,200 to do what they wanted me to do. If I would have come in and done that to begin with, that would have been the end of it. But because he got billed for $2,200, they said, "Eric, come help us. We're in a hole now." I'd already talked them through the whole process in the beginning. So now that they have, how they want me to
Eric, let me go back to William.
Okay.
So William, I want to make sure that this makes sense to you, that there's plenty of times where you need some work done around the house and your brother's like, "Hey, you know what? I'm good at that. You're not. I'll come over. I'll help you out. Don't worry about, maybe you pay me in a dinner or something like that." That's your past relationship, right?
yeah,
And you understand that that's a brotherly thing to do, because otherwise the money would have to come out of your pocket to pay him. And so he's doing you a favor, not making you pay out of your pocket, right?
right.
You understand how this scenario is different because the money isn't coming out of your pocket, right?
Well, it ended up, if I may say, we're still fighting with the insurance company to get more money because we ended up having to more because of the cabinets. They didn't want to cover the cabinets.
Here's what I'm saying. That might be true. It's always a fight with insurance where they're only going to pay so much and you need X amount to get where you want to be. But you understand how this scenario is different, where your brother is asking for repayment for his labor because that money isn't coming out of your pocket necessarily. It's coming from a third party. And that he actually charged you less than a contractor would have charged you for the same work. You understand both those things?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so you must have agreed, at least in part, to that logic, because you said, all right, I'll pay him $600.
That was
That was after.
the fact.
Then let me just ask you a flat question. Do you think your brother did more or less than $600 work on your house?
I'd say probably about less than 600. He put up like 6 or 8 pieces of drywall and mudded it, did a little bit of wiring,
Primed walls.
and I never saw an itemized list of it's gonna cost this for this, it's gonna cost
And
this
don't
for
get me
that.
wrong, don't get me wrong, Eric, that's one of your problems here, is if I had a piece of paper that was tracing where the 1,500, I could look right at it and say, I know what hanging drywall costs, I know what wiring costs, but I don't know what you did. You're just saying.
Supposed to show me what the insurance and the adjusters and what the appraisals from the contractor were. They would never show that to me. And I was going to compare to that and go off that and say, look, you guys got 33 grand.
Well, listen, Eric, I understand that you're going to charge him less than a contractor was, but will you just tell me what it is you did that's worth $1,500?
So I want to start by saying they had a guy from the church come and do the ceiling in the kitchen. He laid 5.5 sheets of drywall and he didn't finish the job completely. They paid him $550. I hung 8 pieces of drywall in the kitchen. I did all the walls. I sanded, mudded, completed all the walls, and I primed all the walls. I did all of the electrical in the kitchen. Every outlet had to either be moved, relocated. All of the outlets and switches had to be replaced with new ones. I rewired for the in the basement. I put in up to code wiring. But I've got
let me pause you for a second. Let me pause you for a second. So you're replacing an outlet. Who went and bought the outlets?
They bought all the equipment. They bought everything, all the supplies they needed. I did all.
So you're not charging anything for parts. You're just charging for labor.
Exactly. I prepped all the floor. I picked up, I delivered all the materials, all their drywall, their cabinets. I picked up and delivered their cabinets, checked and made sure they were all there. And then I organized them so that I could hang them. They wanted me to hang and do the floor. When they say the 3 of us couldn't do the floor, that isn't what happened. We were in the middle of it. I've been waiting and asking to come back and do the things. All right, I'm good to go. Let's on this floor. They stopped me, said no, because they started talking about money with me. And when we talked about money, they said, where are we at? They always told me, keep track of my hours. They kept saying, keep track of your hours there, keep track of your hours there. So with that being said, I'm $25 an hour to do anything I do for anybody. And that's more than fair. I have 60 hours worth of work there. Just physical work, not counting drive time back and forth, gas in my truck, not any time spent at Menards shopping for materials.
Well, let's pause for a second. William, you heard that number of about 50 hours back just being at the house. You agree with that?
No, not that long. One thing I do want to say is, yes, I did.
What do you think it is?
Well, excuse me again.
He wants to know
how many hours do you think he was at your house?
I don't know.
At any point in time during this project.
I can't be sure. I was sick with asthma and pneumonia stuff.
All right, but you
never heard
understand
about him
that I have to
hours.
decide what to do here. He's telling me I was keeping track. I got 50 hours in. You're telling me I'm not really sure how many hours. I had COVID. What do you think I'm going to pick between those two of which one makes more sense of what happened? Because I'll tell you, if he put 50 hours in, we don't even have to talk about anything else. He's easily at $1,500 what you're going to pay a contractor to be at your house that long.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt? I also showed him what the quote would be to finish the work if it was contractor to finish the job, the floor and the cabinets. And that quote was right on money with what he paid the guy to come back and do just the regular cabinets. My quote was a little bit higher because they had an additional 6.5 feet worth of cabinets. So when they're out of money, they bought an additional 6.5 feet worth of cabinetry for their kitchen. They upgraded their cabinets. They upgraded the floor higher than anything what the insurance was paying for. So when they ran out of money, they bought all upgraded supplies. And so that's why I explained all that to them in the beginning, how they could afford that. And that would be by me hanging the cabinets, by me doing the floor. I'm not going to charge you $6,000, but the whole job I would have done for $3,000 out the door. And it's $18,000 worth of work.
Listen to me. listen to me. At the end of the day, what I have to do is come in between people who, communication is broken down and they need a third party to sort of weigh in what happened. When I, read through this the first time, well, essentially, here's what I'm going to tell you guys. I don't think that this $900 that I'm about to award to the plaintiff in this matter, at the end of the day, I don't think $900 is worth, I'm assuming, what happened to your relationship over this case. It's unfortunate that it came to this. But had there not been insurance, okay, I understand why you would think that Eric was just doing this like he had in the past as your brother doing the work. I tell you right now, I do not find his numbers to be unrealistic at all. If anything, I think they're favorable. He's giving you the brother rate. And because this money wasn't going to come from you, even though you didn't have a contract, even though he didn't charge you in the past, I find this reasonable on Eric's behalf to expect to have been compensated for the labor that he did, and that this may end up coming out of pocket for you, but that's between you and insurance and your kitchen, which I'm assuming is nicer now than it was before this happened. And that's a decision that you make about where to spend the money. But at this juncture, I'm going to explain to you once again, although I think you understand why the request involving the chainsaw, we just do not have the correct parties here for me to really award damages on that. But I do find that the balance here of what we talked about labor, the $900 is reasonable. I would in fact order that as damages. The only other, I have two things I need to explain still. One is this: the plaintiff paid additional monies out of pocket to get us here today. Eric had to pay a filing fee to court, and he had to pay to have you served. That's $74. He is also able to get that above and beyond damages. I just want you to understand why this order says $974 and not just $900. The other thing is this, and it's for both parties to listen to. This is my decision. You all have a decision to make. If you accept this decision, then you need to find a way to satisfy the judgment, i.e. defendant pays plaintiff the money judgment. But either party has a right to say, I don't agree with what just happened there. I want this to go in front of the district court judges in general civil and essentially get a second bite at the apple to argue this. I'm not going to call you guys Mr. Emery. It doesn't make any sense. Eric, you could be doing that because you say, I should have got more than $900. William, you could say that because you're saying, I don't even think I should have had to pay $900. But either one of you has a right to appeal this, but to appeal it, you must do that in writing, and it must happen within 7 days of today's date. That window of opportunity closes. So one of two things happen. You either formally request in writing to appeal this and have this reheard in front of district court. All of that usually always involves attorneys. I would just tell you that you probably need to think by the time you pay an attorney whether or not the money you're fighting about makes sense or not. Or you accept this judgment and you have to find a way to satisfy the judgment. But the bottom line on this is I hate to see this happen inside of a family. $900 is not worth a breakdown in the relationship between you guys. I hope you can get past this at some point. But I want to make sure individually that you understand your rights on appeal. William?
Yes, may I have say one thing? Our kitchen is still not finished. It's not usable.
Okay, but that's mostly between your contractors and insurance. That, right. If I were Eric, I wouldn't go back over there. You guys probably need to, part ways on this particular issue. Eric, do you understand your rights on appeal?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then I'm going to thank you all for coming in over Zoom. But as far as what we can do here at Small Claims today, we are all set. I'm going to release parties. Thank you.